Foreign investors are trooping to Nigeria ahead of General Muhammadu Buhari swearing in later this month. The country is reaping dividends of a peaceful transition of power despite its economic crisis, where it turns out that this is at the expense of other countries, in this case, Kenya. Hello and welcome to Global Business as we bring you up to speed with the latest developments on the business front. I am Penina Kariba live in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. It's 9 p.m. here in East Africa. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome to the show. Also coming up tonight, Samsung in $10 million deal in Zimbabwe, and reduced artisanal mining dents Mali's revenue earnings. The Kenyan shilling took another hit on Tuesday as foreign investors disposed of their holdings in the Nairobi Bourse in favor of the better-yielding Nigeria Stock Exchange. The Kenyan unit touched an intraday low of 97 units to the dollar, levels last seen in November 2011. Stratlink data indicates that foreign investor sales between January and April this year at $315.5 million exceeded foreign investor inflows by well over 11%. Financial advisors point out corporate outcomes that have fallen below investor expectations and dampened confidence. The Nigerian bourse, on the other hand, has been heading up. Investor outflow from Kenya, essentially dollars out, is creating a scarcity of the U.S. currency and higher demand, leading to the shilling depreciation. Kenya's central bank sold dollars to stop the fall and says that it will act to curb speculation. And while foreign investors give their vote of confidence to Nigeria's new president, Muhammadu Buhari, the task ahead looks huge. Nigerians are counting on him to resolve the current economic crisis occasioned by the global drop in fuel prices, electricity, and the Boko Haram threat, among others, to restore economic growth.
Muhammadu Buhari in March became the first Nigerian to oust a president in an election. Buhari beat President Goodluck Jonathan in power since 1999. He pledged to clean up Nigeria's notoriously corrupt politics and crack down harder on the Islamist Boko Haram insurgency. However, Buhari faces an array of challenges, including convincing doubters he's not a dictator. Buhari, who now says he is a convert to democracy, seized power in a 1983 coup, only to be ousted 18 months later by another general.
A person's perspective in life is vital. You can hardly learn democracy in governance. That's as an elected president to be learning democracy while in office. It must be something that is a culture that you are used to.
Buhari must also deal with a dive in global oil prices, which has hammered the economy. Residents say they want tangible and practical improvements.
For us, the poor people, the president should help us make shops affordable so that we can be able to buy and sell in the market. Secondly, we want them to make education affordable because education is paramount in our society today, so that our children can do well in the future and attain to high positions like the leaders we already have.
I just want him to correct those things that has been bad already. Electricity is there. If there is electricity, there will be work for people. So we have companies that are spending much on diesel. They are burning diesels. So if that one is being taken care of, there won't be much burning, and they will be able to acquire more workers.
A key factor will be how the new government goes about reforming the nation's power sector, which has been plagued with the inefficiencies and allegations of corruption.
The expectation of Nigerians that Jonathan did not meet is what is leading him to leave power. And those expectations must be met by the person who chased him out. Because the reason why you wanted to replace Jonathan was because you had a better program. I expect that by December I will no longer be running generator. It's given for granted, according to the program of the All Progressive Congress.
Once Buhari is sworn in and his job officially begins, he will be scrutinized heavily by Nigerians watching to see if he delivers on his election promises. Mahia Mutwa, CCTV.
Let's look deeper into the investment lure that Nigeria has become, and I'm joined by Mariam Bamad in London. Mariam, there was a massive exit by foreign investors from the Nigerian market before the elections. What changed and so soon?
Well, there's a few factors at play here, Penina. Foreign investors are worried about the economic and political risks in the country after the recent elections, and that's having an impact on outflows compared to inflows in the first quarter. Foreign investors are also skeptical on the Nigerian market starting late last year, very much unnerved by political uncertainty before the vote as well, as of course the sharp fall in the global price of oil very much negatively impacted the currencies as well, very much triggering devaluation back in November. So this didn't come as a big surprise for many investors and experts on this end.
But Mariam, there seems to be a lot of economic issues for General Buhari to sort out after he's sworn in later in the month. The government is running broke from reduced oil revenue, potential disturbance of a government plan to remove fuel subsidies, and a weak currency. So can we read reaction from investors on your end as a vote of confidence in Buhari to sort out these issues?
Well, foreign investors on this end are really hoping the government will actually increase revenue through things like taxation. Of course, that's not favored domestically, but it's very much at a time when fuel shortages are set to worsen in Nigeria. Of course, as international traders and local marketers back away from imports over fears that the cash-strapped government will actually halt costly subsidy payments. And we know that Nigeria exports around 2 million barrels per day of crude, but it's almost completely reliant on imports for the 40 million liters per day of gasoline it consumes. That's very much because of the inadequate refineries. So Nigeria really relies on oil exports for about 80% of its overall revenues and very much burned through half of its borrowing allowance this year because of that. And that's where investors really want to see a change.
So then, Mariam, where else are investors on your end putting their money?
Well, it seems that investors are more keen to do business in sectors that have little or no direct relationship with the government. Areas like manufacturing, tourism, and the service sector, very much all growing thanks to a boost in disposable income, for example, among the emerging, very thriving middle class. This is not to say that we're not seeing that appetite for, the old favorites, Penina, like mining, infrastructure development, very much including things like transport, energy, and utilities.
All right, Mariam Bamad, live for us there in London. Thanks, Mariam, for joining us. Now, protesters engaged police in running battles on Tuesday as anti-government demonstrations continued in Burundi's capital, Bujumbura. Tuesday's protest was one of the largest since demonstrations started against President Pierre Nkurunziza's bid for a third term in office. Women from various neighborhoods joined Tuesday's protest for the first time since the civil unrest erupted. At least 14 people have died and 216 injured in the street violence since 25th of April, when the ruling party nominated Nkurunziza. Burundi's constitution states a president can be popularly elected to 2 5-year terms. Global consumer electronics group Samsung has signed a $10 million manufacturing and distribution deal with a Zimbabwean company. As Faraimo Kutuya reports, the agreement is seen as a much-needed vote of confidence for Zimbabwe's ailing economy and a promising step towards attracting other foreign investors.
There are increasing job losses, aggregate demand is contracting, and liquidity levels are critically short. Mainstream industrial activity has slumped to an all-time low, and street vending is now the new norm. The rising unemployment, though, is leaving the growing number of vendors with a diminishing market. It seems like it's all bad news coming out of Zimbabwe. But from time to time, there is some good news. In this particular case, global consumer electronics giant Samsung has sealed a deal with a local company to start producing and distributing some of these products right here in Zimbabwe. Cranbell Investments will assemble television sets and refrigerators at a plant to be custom built and completed by January 2016.
The knockdown kits, in terms of the laws of this country, they come in duty-free, because they are raw materials. We put cost of value addition, which is our labor and other overheads, to build up on the cost of the kits without duty. Then we put our margin and sell. Surely that must be at a lower price than if the value had been added elsewhere outside our borders.
Chundu has other interests in synthetic hair production. Although he's seen that business take a hit, forcing him to cut jobs and scale down operations, he's still placing his bets on Zimbabwe. And that's why he's taking a long-term position with this Samsung partnership.
When I look at what we're going through right now, this is very temporary. But at some point, these challenges will come and go. But when you look at Zimbabwe as a market, when you look at the fundamentals that are anchoring this economy, any sane investor would know that in this region, this is the place to be. The payoffs may be 3-4 years from now, that's fine, it's worth the wait. 10 years in investment decision making is not a long period.
The total project investment will reach $10 million. At least 120 jobs will be created. But the most immediate value is the confidence this will bring to an economy where significant foreign backing of this nature has been lacking. Farai Mwakutuya, CCTV, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Let's have a look at these strokes now, and we saw a splash of red across all the major indices that we track here on Global Business. Nairobi's main NSE 20 share index fell 29.58 points to close at 5,012.94 points. Coming up, the World Bank invests $500 million in Egypt's plan to house the poor. And we talk to Egypt's real estate godfather.
Africa is on the move. It's home to 7 of the world's 10 fastest growing economies. We help you make sense of the fast-changing African business landscape. We take you where the business is happening.
Global Business, weekdays at this time on CCTV Africa.
Sustainable development and a commitment to developing partnerships with Africa. Some of the key phrases already used at the Africa Global Business Forum here in Dubai.
There is a need for a predictable environment in which investors have to put their money.
You're watching Global Business. Welcome back. More than 200 companies from around the world have gathered at a trade fair in Cairo with an eye on Africa's $3.3 billion food market. The Food Africa Cairo 2015 trade fair brings together exhibitors with buyers, importers and distributors to foster business and trade deals. Most of Africa's food trade is informal, but in the past decade, a growing middle class has demanded more imported finished food products. Host country Egypt is hoping the event will give it a stronger foothold in the growing market and help provide a much-needed boost to its economy. International producers say they are excited by the opportunities that Africa's food market presents.
We came to this exhibition to make contacts with other companies from other countries and to see if we can arrange a way to import or to export our products.
We are now having some inquiries, and we have some customers right now who are distributing, and it is possible to find the product in some, I think you call them Mesex or Selex, some shops in which you can find nuts in bulk, and you can buy them by weight.
A new $500 million World Bank project in Egypt is aiming to improve access to home ownership and rentals for low-income households. The 5-year program is projected to reach 4.2 million people, including an estimated 1.6 million living below the poverty line. Egypt has chronic housing shortages and affordability problems and needs hundreds of thousands of new houses every year. The initiative will provide financial support to low-income households while also creating incentives for property owners to rent out units to tenants in need. Egypt's low housing production and income levels have led to an estimated 12 to 20 million people living in informal housing. The project also expects to create around 1.5 million temporary construction jobs. Now let's take a deeper look at some of the fundamentals behind Egypt's property market. Hussein Sabor is known as the godfather of Egypt's real estate development and construction industries. At 79, he's been behind a multitude of residential and commercial real estate ventures, as well as an array of urban planning projects throughout Egypt, Libya, and several Gulf countries. The civil engineer has also worked on large rail, power, and tourism infrastructure projects. CCTV's Yasser Hakim spoke to him about some of the market forces affecting home affordability in Egypt.
Since your major business is in real estate, can you describe to us the real estate market here in Egypt at the moment?
First of all, Egypt is 90 million people now. If we talk about marriages, and if we talk about the very old houses that need to be replaced, if we talk about immigration from the rural areas to the cities, that needs 500,000 units every year from different categories. The most of them are for the poor and young category people and for the medium class. But we also, the demand also comes to the very rich people. Egypt never built this number. So every year there is a demand and increasing demand to cover what was not built the last year and the previous years.
The Egyptian population is predominantly poor with low income earners. However, the market and the prices of apartments here are very high in Egypt for the low income earners. Why is that?
The cost of the land is very high because we have very little amount of land completed with infrastructure ready to build on, and we have a rare or the demand much more than what is produced. As long as this is the case, the price of land is very high. Because we were subsidizing the electricity and the fuel by much higher amount of money in the last budget, it was 170 billion Egyptian pounds subsidy for fuel and electricity. The government decided to cancel this on 5 years. If they cancel this on 5 years, that means that the cost of building materials that is using fuel, gas, electricity will jump.
So what's the solution to stop the inflationary prices of apartments and real estate in Egypt?
We are living on 6% of the area of Egypt. 94% are still deserts. So to allow other companies, strong companies, to compete with the government by allowing them to make land ready for construction, land completed with infrastructure. If the government makes that, and we have 10 competitors, 10 companies producing that, the buyer will choose, and the 10 competitors will try to persuade the buyer to come to them by giving him lower price if they can.
Mr. Sabor, thank you very much for joining us here on CCTV.
Thank you for talking to me.
To commodity prices now, and all prices jumped on Tuesday as a weak dollar lifted commodities denominated in the currency, and OPEC slightly raised its forecast for world oil demand growth. Violence in Yemen also boosted oil prices, raising concerns over the security of Middle East crude supplies. Still ahead, a crackdown on artisanal gold mining in Mali not only costs livelihoods, but government revenue as well.
Africa is not one country.
And Africa is not one story.
But as Africans, we do share one belief.
One more offensive in a
that whatever the challenge, we will overcome.
CCTV Africa brings you unrivaled coverage.
From the fight against Ebola to the fight for greater freedom.
From the figures seeking your vote to the figures shaping your economy.
This is Guy Henderson reporting from the jungles of East.
And all the reasons to celebrate the diversity of life on this great continent.
Welcome back to Global Business. Mali recorded a drop in gold exports, partly due to decreased artisanal mining. Industrial mining is also set to drop to 44.9 tons this year from 45.9 last year. Mali is Africa's third biggest gold producer behind South Africa and Ghana. The precious metal is the country's top foreign exchange earner, but sometimes mining the mineral comes at a great cost.
Mali has been cracking down on small-scale illegal gold mining. Last year, the government banned mining during the rainy season to cut down on accidents linked to cave-ins. And while the crackdown might be well-intentioned, it comes at the expense of people like Awa Sangare. She works at a mine in southern Mali. When it's not harvesting season, this is how she feeds her family.
We screen the topsoil, then after that we carry it to the village for panning. I sell the gold to the agent, and with the money I get, I am able to provide for myself and my children until the rainy season. Then I work in the fields.
The women who work around the mine sell their nuggets to dealers. 1 gram of gold goes for about $28. The country's National Statistics Institute indicates exports from artisanal mining dropped nearly 64% last year to 7.4 tons, from 20.4 tons in 2013. Along with Sangari, many young Malians also work at the mines. Many drop out of school to earn a little bit of money.
I left school because I was forced into marriage. I came here to earn a bit of money for my clothes and for my personal needs.
I go to school and I am in grade 4. I'm also working in the mine, and if I can make some money, I buy clothes.
According to the government, small-scale gold mining spiked during a rebellion 2 years ago, but the normalization of Mali's political and economic situation allowed workers to leave artisanal mining and return to other sectors of the economy. They're now encouraging residents to reclaim land and plant crops instead of largely concentrating on gold mining. And schools are also hoping the drop in artisanal mining means children will return to their classrooms.
This year we had a total of 402 children, and out of these 402 children we registered 102 cases of school leavers, and the children who left school are in between 12 and 16 years of age. It's a real loss for us because once these children leave, they will never come back.
Aside from the drop in the informal sector, Mali also trimmed its forecast for industrial gold production this year to 44.9 tons from 45.8 tons last year, as the output from some mature mines dwindles. Valdi Carosa, CCTV.
In the dry folds of the high Atlas Mountains in Morocco, there is an unexpected place called the Val de Roses, where in spring the entire area is awash with pink Persian roses. These roses are the town's lifeblood. The region pays homage to the rose through the Rose Festival, attracting over 20,000 people. Now, the 3-day festival is a time of song and dance, and this year it was not any different.
It's the second oldest festival in Morocco after the Cherry Festival. Established in 1962, the festival celebrates the harvesting season of the Damas roses, the main product of the Dates Valley. Thousands gather every year to watch a colorful parade with floats, dances and bands, and to catch a glimpse of the new Rose Festival queen. University student Dehu Iken had beaten 39 other contestants to snatch the prestigious title.
I wanted to represent my mother and give her back a little bit of the feeling when she was crowned Miss Festival. I also wanted to have the same feelings that she experienced a long time ago.
The focus of this year's festival is on the cultural and artistic heritage of the mainly Amazigh region, as well as the local costumes.
The new additions to the festival this year have to do with the heritage dimension. We are specifically highlighting the cultural and artistic heritage of the region, as well as to its costumes.
The region produces between 2,000 and 4,000 tons of roses yearly, depending on the weather conditions.
The aromatic roses play an important role in the economy of this region in general. In the recent years, and since the launch of the Moroccan grain plant, the roses sector has enjoyed special attention from producers to industrialists and also in marketing.
Few countries in the world are known for producing Damas roses, and local producers say their traditional method of production without the use of pesticides or chemicals make their products more attractive to foreign buyers. Susan Mungeli, CCTV.
Let's turn our attention to the currencies. Kenya's shilling weakened on Tuesday, weighed down by corporate dollar demand, even though the central bank sold dollars to the interbank market and said it would act to curb speculation in the local currency. Traders said the central bank sold an undisclosed amount of dollars after the shilling touched an intraday low of 96.8097 to the dollar. On Global Business tomorrow, fuel shortages are set to get worse in Nigeria as international traders and local marketers back away from imports over fears that the cash-strapped new government could halt costly subsidy payment. Also tomorrow, Zimbabwe's government-owned power utility Zimbabwe Power Company to sell off $1 billion debt as it seeks early cash. And that's it for this edition of Global Business. To send your feedback to Global Business Africa at cctv.com. You can visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa. You can also stay in touch with Global Business on Twitter using the handle at CCTV News Africa. I am Penny Nakaribe. Thanks for watching.